Hey guys, and welcome to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. Well, what are we doing? We are doing X-Men today, guys. We are having a look at X-Men, the arcade game. Now, this game is an alpha build. It's currently not available, or it's not available to Patreon supporters yet. It hasn't entered beta yet. So I thought I did a video on it initially, having a look at it. But I thought to myself, do you know what? Let's actually like try and play through it, right? So the stream shouldn't be more than an hour long, but what I thought was, at least if I play it, and guys, if you spot stuff that, if you know the PCB and you know the PCB well, and you're spotting issues, there are some obvious issues, right? So when you're hitting the enemies, you haven't got the sound effects of the hits, you have got the sound effects of the explosions. There are some graphical issues present in here. Feel free to put anything in chat, because it will be documented, and this is how we figure stuff out, all the little things. So Tego and his team are very diligent in getting calls and resolving issues, but obviously it's a lot of feedback from the community. First, from the alpha stage, which is a small circle of people that are testing it. I'm included in there, but I'm not like the biggest tester. But obviously, if I do live stream stuff, then there's a lot more eyes on this as well. So that I guess that kind of contributes. And then when a core enters the beta stage, that's when everyone that contributes to Hatego's Patreon can actually provide feedback about the course. So let's go into game, right? So let me know what character you want to see. So we'll have I'll start with, we'll go in the order, right? So we'll go with Cyclops, and then from Cyclops we'll go to whoever's next. Is it Colossus? Right, okay. Let's have a look. Again, I'm digging this. I love like the intros for these games. Yeah, they just look good. Very comic book, and the explosion effects I find look really cool as well. So yeah, man, like X-Men is coming, guys. X-Men is coming, and yeah, really looking forward to this coming out. I mean, I was playing like the Sega Saturn version on the MiSTer, on the Sega Saturn core, and that's great. Another thing to point out here, in this version of the alpha I haven't got all three of the buttons. I've only got two of the buttons, which is a bit sad, because I don't have the special, and the specials in this game, they look really cool, right? And it's not triggered by two button. Something like Final Fight, even though you press two buttons to do the special, it has actually got a button to do the special. I'm not exactly sure how you get it to work, but when you're configuring the buttons for something like Final Fight, you get the option that for allocating a button to special. I've never really worked it, because whenever I played it in the arcade, it had two buttons. If it was the case with this game as well, then we would have been able to do the special. But two buttons, that's what two buttons does right there. So again, this is a great arcade game. So I understand there's a 6-player version that has two screens, right? It has two screens, and you can play 6 players on it, right? I don't think I've ever seen one of those arcade machines. And I don't think it's impossible that it can come on a MiSTer, but when this comes out, we're going to get the 2-player versions. We've got various MRAs, so we've got plenty of 2-player MRAs. Actually, we've got there's a whole bunch there, maybe as much as up to 8, and as well as that, we've got the 4-player version. But what's good, because there's 6 characters in this, the 4-player version doesn't allocate like a joystick or a player placement to a particular character. You can still pick out the 6 characters, unlike some of the other Konami stuff, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example. If you're player 1, you're Leonardo. I think player 2 was Michelangelo, player 3 Donatello, and player 4 Raphael. So you had to go over to the particular control set in order to pick that character. That's why when we're playing those single player or 2-player, it's better to play the 2-player version, right? Because you can pick your character. Otherwise, if you're playing the 4-player version and you don't have any friends, you're kind of stuck to playing with Leonardo, right? Unless you plug in another controller and start as that. Well, I don't know if there's a way to just on the MiSTer to allocate one controller to, say, player 3 controls, without having to plug in 3 controllers, for example, and then starting the game with like the 3rd player. Hey, Dr. Johnny Bananas in the house. How you doing, man? Wicked. Good having you around, man. The original doctor on the channel. So we've got a couple of doctors on the channel. One is Dr. No Brazil, who's like the most cynical troll out there, but I really like the guy. I actually find him very entertaining, and we've got Dr. Johnny Bananas, who's just an all-around nice guy. Good vibes. So we've got a few doctors on here. Whether they actually have a PhD or whether it's just the internet doctor, it's not for me to decide. However, if I was feeling ill, I don't know if I'll consult you guys for advice in case Dr. Johnny Banana said, go to bed, watch Planet of the Apes and eat some bananas and you'll be as good as gold the next day. So I've actually got work later, but my family's all away, man. My wife and my kids, they're in Italy. I've got one more night of work and then I'm off for 4 days and I'm picking them up on Monday. So yeah, I've kind of got 3 days off, but it's not to myself because my mum is back. She's staying with me, so I'll be kind of taking care of her for the days that I'm off. But you know what? I thought since I'm home alone right now, I was like, let me actually schedule a stream. So guys, do you know, I honestly don't know when this will be out, right? I have to say, historically speaking, and I don't speak for Ortega or anything, historically speaking, when the alpha is released, usually the game comes out within a week or two. So, you know, it might turn out that we might be in for a really nice JT Friday tomorrow. I honestly can't say, like, don't quote me on any of this. I live in hope just as much as you guys do. I mean, I'm absolutely honored that I get early access to this stuff via Ortega. Ortega's a really nice guy, very good, just an all-around nice guy, and I really do appreciate it. And that's why I always encourage people to support Ortega where possible, if you can, you know, financially support a developer like Ortega, because supporting him brings us all this stuff, man. You know, having all the Patreon support he does pays for a lot of stuff. Pays for Vertec to do his reverse engineering work on chips. Pays for PCBs to some extent, even though from what I understand, a lot of PCBs are actually donated. So, which is really good. Again, a massive community effort, right? Donations there, our money, kit. It pays for staff. So, and it's nice to see these titles. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I like the Konami X-Men, right? And it was one of those games as a kid. I still remember it, right? I remember this and Spider-Man. Both of those games. I think I might have had one go on Spider-Man, but what happened was I just didn't have the money. And when we went to central London, these were the big machines, guys. These were the machines that were big. And when games went up to like 50 pence, these ones were like £1. Or if games were 20 pence, these ones were like 50 pence. These were like the premium games. And yeah, you know, me and my friends used to go, and sometimes we had the only money we had was the money for a travel card, right? So what you could do in London, you could buy a travel card that once you pay for it for the day, you could travel around for the entirety of the day using trains, the underground tube, or the subway as you guys call it in the USA, as well as buses, right? So sometimes that's all the money we'd have. We'd eat at home, and when we go out, what we do is, remember the arcade machines where if your coin was rejected, it used to land at the bottom? Believe it or not, when we used to go arcade, we used to check that part in there. And quite surprisingly, we were quite lucky in finding coins, right? Because I guess a lot of adults or whatever, they would put a bunch of money in there and forget to take it out or whatever. So we used to find money in there and get free games. And another thing you used to get in the arcade is, let's say a particular game was 20 pence a credit or 50 pence a credit. Let's go premium rate, right? 50 pence a credit. £1 would give you 3 credits. Sometimes people would put in that £1 and only use 1 credit, like tourists or people that were just playing it casually, right? So what we would do is we'd end up finding credits on there, and it was a lovely hustle. It was like winning the lottery. But like yeah, watching people play games was fantastic, man. It was just a lot of fun, and you'd be rooting for them because you'd want to see, you know, what bosses you had later in the game. Who's this boss here? Is this Mojo that comes up? The big fat dude. Is that Mojo? I can't fully remember. So, you know, seeing characters out of the comics, and the superhero games were fantastic. Let me have a look at chat. Yo, Danahan, how you doing there, my bro? Can you change the dip switch on X-Men settings? We can have a look at that. I don't think the OSD menu's working properly. So you know what? Let's just start quickly. So let's go with Wolverine, and let's pump in a few coins so he doesn't die, right? Which means I'm going to be there for a long time. And let's now have a look at. Okay, so so we don't really have many options for this. So yeah, we haven't got any. It doesn't look like we got course specific options, right? Sorry guys, I know I do a lot of MiSTer content. I'm really bad at all of this stuff. So that's buttons here. Okay, reset player assignment, no. Video processing, I think that's just the MiSTer options. So as far as the actual games options go, I might put too much credit in there, you know that. I should let him kill me at least 1 or 2 lives, right? So no, we don't. The only option we've got is for user port, right? And that is for a snack controller, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yo, Neo Caron, hello there, stopping by to say hi. This is looking good for now. Yeah, it's very, very good. Tatego's work is top notch. That's why I always say his beta releases are very, very good as well. Let's have a look. I wonder if they go. Yeah, you never know. I think he said he doesn't have the PCB, but he hasn't ruled it out. So let's see what develops in the future. And for anyone out there that's not Hatego Patreon supporter, just having a quick look over at his Patreon. If you do want to support his work, guys, you can join the lowest tier, which my price is £4.50 a month. If you want your name in the credits, or you want to kind of get into development, there's different higher tiers as well, and you get access to a whole bunch of games. Right? Let me get rid of that for now, and let's go back into game. Right? Okay, so let's go into game. So there's not many OSD options that are particular to this core at the moment. So let's go and we're gonna be playing with Wolverine for a while. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you can. He kind of gets knocked down and then you hit him. I don't know who the best character is in this game. It might actually be Wolverine. You know. I mean, he's got claws, right? But mind you, we've got someone like Cyclops that's got the crazy lasers out of his eyes, man. Oh, I need to attack him. So this will be a fun game to play for 4 players, though. I know my boys will like this because they like X-Men. You know what? I was a proud father when I showed them the 90s X-Men series. You know, and they liked it, man. I was proper happy, man. NBC, how you doing, man? The game Outrun on the arcade core on the analog pocket only works well in portable. All right, okay, cool. I'm not quite sure. You know, you know what? Don't get me wrong. I like Outrun, but I don't really have much nostalgia for it, right? I never really played it as a kid. So the Outrun that I like is 2006 Coast to Coast, man. Like I've been playing that on like my Steam Deck on different Windows devices. So when it comes to the old Outrun, like I like it because I never really, beyond maybe playing it in the arcade once, you know, I never really had the nostalgia for it. And being more of a Nintendo guy when I was younger, or preferring Nintendo stuff when I was younger, I don't have the love for Outrun many people do. I know it's a big game, and lots of people like it. I get that. So often, once I kind of do videos on games, I don't often revisit them. You know, the game that I'll revisit again and again is something like Shadow Dancer. You know, some of the ones that I played in the arcade, and I would like to, you know, at one point 1cc when kind of time allows and go through it. But yeah, I mean, if there is an issue with Outrun, feel free to report it. You know, create a GitHub ticket. I actually need to learn I need to sit down one day and just kind of like play about with GitHub and just learn how to kind of use it and contribute a little bit more. I end up always reporting stuff on Discord, but if there are issues, you know, you can report them and they do get looked at. Maybe they don't get looked at straight away because they're, you know, Artego has reached, he put a tweet out yesterday, right, where he's actually got over 1,000 MRAs now, right? So, you know, one game might have 10 MRAs, for example. So, but some games might only have 1 or 2 MRAs. So there's 1,000 MRAs now. So that's quite a substantial number of games, you know, Hatego and team have kind of brought forward. So you can imagine when resolving issues with old cores, you know, certain things like, let's say, bringing out X-Men and squashing the bugs on that might take priority over housekeeping. But Hatego does say every so often he'll take like 2 or 3 weeks where there won't be anything new, and him and the team will just be focusing on housekeeping. I know, was it about a year ago where Hatego kind of changed his workflow and how they go about kind of not archiving, but how they're indexing everything. Because I think when they kind of started doing FPGA cores, it kind of reached the limit for the setup that they had. So they kind of future-proofed it where they would be able to get a lot more information on there regarding their work, right? Because sometimes when you start something, you don't realize it's going to become as big as it eventually becomes one time, right? So yeah, I mean, you know, Hatego, I would say, is the biggest FPGA developer out there as far as number of cores goes, right? I don't think anyone out there has done as many systems. There's people like SRG that have done a different multitude of different consoles and even computer cores. But if if it's number of different cores or unique cores, I think Hatego must be in the lead out there. And I'm a big fan, man. I don't hide it. I love playing my arcade games. I love reliving that childhood where I didn't have all the money for it, and these feel accurate. I met up with a bunch of friends yesterday, 3 friends. They came up to my work, and one of them I'm in regular contact with. One of them I hadn't seen for 3 or 4 years, but the other guys are like friends of friends. But we get on, right? So my main friend, 2 of his friends, but one of them, the last time we met was when Super Street Fighter 4 came out, and that was current. So one of the guys there, he's a developer as well. He works for Microsoft. And he said he wanted to get a device, and I had my analog pocket with me. I showed it to him. He thought it was great, but I recommended it to him. I said, look, unless you feel latency and you have issues with emulation, like something like a Mio Mini Plus is absolutely fine for a handheld that's on-the-go handheld. I like it. I use it as well. Unless you're very, very much so into it and you remember the stuff and you feel latency and you feel inaccuracies or you see inaccuracies, like I forgot you can hit them when they're down. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using like an emulation handheld. So I said to him, look, try one out. So I've sent him a link to a Mio Mini Plus, which was like £32. So let's say delivered with tax and everything, it's going to be under £40 for sure, right? I said, look, try that out. It's cheap. If that serves your needs as a quick little machine to play your games on, you can play your X-Men game on it if you want, all good. But if you're finding, the latency's doing your head in, or there's something that feels off, I said, then you can kind of look at getting a pocket, because I told him the price tag of the pocket essentially is maybe 8 times the price of a Mio Mini Plus, right? Because £38 versus an analog pocket, a vanilla analog pocket, by the time you pay tax or customs and delivery charges, right, it ends up costing around £300. I think my first analog pocket I got for it was around 300, 290, between 280 and 300. So I said, look, you're paying a lot for it, but if that's something you're going to use, yeah, absolutely awesome. Like, grab it. Can't recommend it enough, right? But if you're not going to use it, then honestly, there's no point. If you're living in the Matrix and the steak tastes good, the steak tastes good, man. Sometimes, if I never tried the MiSTer around my friend's house and I never started going arcade again, I may never have known what I was missing, because I may have thought, okay, this is how these games played. It's only when I played the MiSTer and started going to the arcade again, I was like, hold on a minute. When I'm playing it on emulation, it's not as snappy. What is going on? And then all of a sudden, you just go down this rabbit hole of stuff. And now when I play stuff on emulation, especially like shmups, man, shmups feel so snappy on like the MiSTer and the Pocket, right? When you play them on emulation, they don't feel right. Like, so for me now, shmups and fighters are the games that I really need them on an FPGA console. Other stuff like I can mess around with, side scrollers, even beat 'em ups to some extent, yeah. But shmups definitely benefit from FPGA gaming or FPGA devices. I'm gonna look at chat in a second. Sorry, I'm so focused in. Oh, here we go. Let's have a look at chat now. Okay. Well, I'm Danahan. I'm using the HD60S Plus, but Big Al did show me a cheap one that I paid £20 for, and that one just works really, really well. It's a great capture card. It's cheap. It's my second capture card. I kind of bought it when I bought a laptop with a 4070 32 gig of RAM, like, worth kind of like £1,500 for £550. Unfortunately, there's issues with the USB ports where they're really bad. That putting bandwidth through it kept crashing my Elgato, so I was troubleshooting it for a month. I bought another capture card. I did this, I did that. So in the end, I've gone back to my old laptop, which has a 1660 Ti in it, and I've given my kid, who's 10, a laptop with a 4070, man, and he's rocking like Minecraft with RTX, with ray tracing on it and everything. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mainly do retro stuff, so I'm good with a 1660 Ti. However, Monster Hunter Wilds is going to come out next year, and I might start streaming that on Twitch just to see how it goes, because if it starts getting views and it's worthwhile, then it'll be interesting to play that, because I really do like Monster Hunter, but Monster Hunter is very darn time consuming, So guys, just out of curiosity, right? If you've played the Spider-Man beat 'em up, right, the one on Sega System 32, do you prefer that to the X-Men beat 'em up, right? Which one do you actually prefer? Because that one's got you remember that one's got like the side-scrolling parts where it zooms out, and that just looked amazing. And who can you be in that? You can be Spider-Man, Submariner, Hawkeye, and is the other person Iron Man? I can't fully remember, to be honest. But that'll be a really good one to get as well. Hopefully stuff like that is doable on MiSTer. If not, then I'm kind of looking forward to the next generation of FPGA consoles, just to see where we kind of go with like the arcade releases, right? Yeah, it will be very, very nice. Someone actually said in the video that I did on this, I really liked the comment that they said. They said they liked this game so much, they actually wrote a letter to Konami saying, could you bring this out for the SNES? And guys, you remember when we were kids, right? You know, we done stuff like that. We used to write, you know, we used to write to magazines or call a phone line, you know, trying to express a point, you know, trying to get stuff done. But then, you know, it wasn't information overload, right? You couldn't send 5 million emails a day, or companies weren't getting emails from like crazy fans. But I guess there was the crazy fans out there sending them some snail mail stuff, right? My daughter recently, she was upset at Knockout City. Knockout City's gone now. It was an EA dodgeball game. She liked it a lot. She was very good at it. And there's something she didn't like, and she sent him an email. And I think she was like 14 at the time. And I thought, let her do it. I didn't want to tell her. It's probably going to just fall on deaf ears, and they're probably not going to do anything about it. It's just a child whinging, right? But I thought, yeah, kids need to have their whinge, right? They need to write somewhere and have a little moan about it. So I'll just stand in one place and try and get it, right? Because one thing I have difficulty with in these beat 'em up, same for Streets of Rage 2, right? When you first fight that flying boss, I find it difficult to hit those flying bosses, right? Okay, so glad I kind of got through that. Oh, you preferred X-Men, Dr. Bananas? Yeah, the shipping are absolutely insane. Yeah, do you know? I don't think the shipping is as bad when you're in when you're in the USA. I think it's worse for us in Europe. But do you know what? The way I see it is, I look at the device as a whole, and I look at the device as a whole. I think to myself, right? Okay, how much? I don't look at the 220. I look at it before I buy something. I factor in the postage and the taxes. Then I look at it and I go, right, do I want to pay 300 for this? And I decided, yeah, I would pay 300 for it. Like, I really like the Analog Pocket, man. Just the amount of cores that you've got in it, and where I play a lot of stuff on a handheld, like for me, it's a great device. Like I absolutely love it. And even with the high delivery charge, right, and the taxes, like I think it's worth money. The aluminium one, okay, you know, it's not something I would buy, but I can't shoot down the idea, right? Because let's say, for example, you know, I was earning 10 times what I earned from my job in a year, then my threshold for what I consider, you know, disposable income and the stuff I will buy for myself might be different. I might like the aluminium one and pay the $500 plus, like, you know, delivery and customs on it. I might be happy with paying, say, £600 for it delivered, right? It's all subjective. It's what it's worth to you. What I get out of the Analog Pocket, it's amazing. I think it's an amazing device. And to anyone that doesn't have a MiSTer, I always say, look, you need to get the dock, because you've got a very, very good FPGA gaming device. It's got excellent cores on it. The Neo Geo core on it, for example, is fantastic. You're going to get this core on there, X-Men. There's still a lot of work to do on the Analog Pocket. Like, Analog needs to sort out their, I think it's an OS issue that doesn't let you map the two-player controls. Someone was actually asking, I think, over on one of the Discords, that is there a way they can actually actually adjust the MRA files, or I think there's one of the files for the core, and change the controls that way. That would be interesting, right? Because, you know, a lot of MiSTers are used for tournaments, right? For big events like Evo, right? So Evo 2024, I'm pretty sure used MiSTers for some of the setups and a lot of the side tournaments. So what'd be nice is if you can do that with the Analog Pocket as well, but you would need to be able to swap configure the controls, right? I mean, I can imagine, just imagine someone going to a tournament, they've got their Analog Pocket, they've got the dock, people plug in their extra input controllers, and they just work, right? And then you've got stuff like you've got stuff like the Analogizer. By the way, if anyone is after an Analogizer, Francisco Javier, the developer behind it, he's actually got 10% off at the moment, and I have to say, it's very, very reasonably priced already. It's like 50-60 euros or something. So you're getting 10% off that as well. So if anyone was after an Analogizer V2, they're currently available. And I've always said, Francisco Javier could have sold it at even twice the price, right? He could have sold it for like whatever it is now, he could have done that $99, €99, £99 price point, and those things would still sell. You know, I respect the guy for not, you know, for doing a very, very fair price for the community, right? There's a lot of hard work and effort that went into it, so that's fair due to the guy, man. Hey Shane, how you doing? Does a Mini Plus come with games installed? Yes, so the Mio Mini Plus does come with games installed. However, there is a custom firmware for it called Garlic. I think it's called Garlic OS, right? Now, Garlic OS is really, really good. Like I like it. I like it a lot. I like Garlic OS a lot. It's got some really, really good stuff on there. And do you know, like sometimes, right? Like for example, when I went on holiday recently, I didn't really want to take. I didn't want to take my analog pocket because if I've got a couple of analog pockets now, in fact, so I can take an analog pocket out, and but I didn't want to take it in case I lose it. It's too valuable of a device to me, right? I'll take it out. Don't get me wrong. I'll take it out with me in the UK. I'll take it to work. I'll play it. But internationally, sometimes I'll get a bit zonked, and I don't want to leave anything behind. So I'm quite happy taking a device like the Mio Mini Plus, or like, you know, the what's the one Ambernick done, the Arc something, the one with the Sega Saturn controller. That's really, really good for fighters. Come on, give me a little bit of oh cool, I can pick another character now at least. So let's put another. Okay, so we are going Storm next. Let's, while invincible, let's smash that. We smash 2. Okay, just one more. Oh, can I hit it from behind? Got ya. Guys, I don't know if you saw yesterday's video, man, but there's like a Resident Evil game out in Open Beats of Rage, man, and it's very, very interesting. I feel like they've done a really good job with it. But with Beats of Rage compared to like a beat 'em up, which is balanced and everything's done on it, they feel a little bit different. I don't want to criticize them because I do like the effort that goes in there, but they don't feel like a commercial game. There's something lacking in some of them anyway. Some of them do feel really, really good. But that if you like Resident Evil, it's very, very much so worth checking out, man. I had a blast playing here. But I'm one of those guys that I like playing Mugen against the CPU. Like I'll put on Street Fighter Deluxe Edition and complete it with like a random character. Ooh, who we got coming here? Right, what we got here? What's up with the analog pocket? Constantly rethink. Well, you know what? That's what they do. So remember, the special editions are only ever released as special editions, right? And again, do you know what? It's so what the pattern that goes with analog is they'll release a special edition, then they'll release the normal edition again. And the normal editions, they don't sell out straight away. They last for last time they lasted for like 3-4 days. So anyone that wants one that hasn't got one yet, so they recently released the aluminium one, right? So next up, I can't speak for them guys, and but going with history here, right? So they should be releasing the normal ones now, right? And once they do the normal ones, if they release another special edition, I mean, who knows? Are they going to do another special edition? You know, whether they do or not, I've got nothing against it, right? It's up to you what you want to buy. No one's put a gun to your head like these guys have to Storm and forcing you to buy it. You know, if you really dislike something, don't buy it. But I get it. Some people have bought like the aluminium one and they've liked it. Yes, if I had the money, I wouldn't mind buying it. I just don't have that disposable cash. Right? Don't get me wrong. I've got the cash, but I can't justify spending the cash. I try and live within my means, right? Like, so I'll never ever take a loan out for a car. I'll only buy a car. Like my last car that I bought cost me $5,500. It's a Honda FRV, right? Family vehicle. But I'll always buy. Somebody will be like, look, why don't you take out finance? You can get yourself a nice car. I only ever believe in living in my means and spending what I have. I've got some really, really rich friends that I grew up with. They set up companies, and you know, I'm not like the rich guy. I'm one of I'm the ones that's least behind when I go out with my group of, especially the Street Fighter friends, right? So, you know, I've got a friend that's like, he's mega rich. He's like, look, come, let's go Hong Kong. This is when we were single, and he's like, look, let's go Hong Kong and go meet one of a friend of ours who was a student here for like 3 years. And he was amazing at Third Strike. Honestly, he was better than Ryan Hart. He was better than like all the guys in the UK. The guy was just amazing. So I played him in the arcade on a Versus City cabinet, and I didn't know who played me, and I was decent at the game then, and this guy parried everything I'd done. I'd never played anyone so good, so I went across and I met him, introduced myself, and at the time we were doing a website called rankingbattles.co.uk. So I told him, look, we've got a website where we do events. This guy only came to an event once. He couldn't play at the time on the PlayStation with a stick on his lap. This guy was an arcade player. But another friend of ours that used to hang out with us lot. So when this guy went back to Hong Kong, my other friend of mine, who's completely loaded, by the way, he's got his own company, lots and lots of money. He was like, look, dude, come on, let me pay for you. We'll go Hong Kong, all expenses paid. We'll go stay with him. We'll go play Street Fighter and we'll have a holiday. And I was like, look, dude, like, you know, I can take money out of my savings and do it. But again, it's kind of living beyond my means. I would have felt guilty spending that money at that time. So I was like, look, I'm not going to do it, you know. So yeah, I'm a strong believer of, you know, go within your means. Like I work with people. Okay, this character here, I really don't like this character, but yeah, I've worked with people that like on payday they are like kings. They're like, I am king, and 1 week after payday, man, they're like a peasant beggar. They're just completely out of money. So I think from the year, yeah, I can't remember the year, but I think like in my mid-20s, I don't know what happened. I just got a little bit sensible. I thought I need to stop just partying and spending all my money and saving. And then after that, you know, I always kept within my means. Sorry, or getting a little bit philosophical here. We were talking about the unlock pocket. So yeah, going back to that, it's not something I can ever justify buying. And more so now with kids, right? You know, if I've got kids, I'd think to myself, well, you know what? For £500, that could be a holiday for them next year. That could be their flight. Or, you know, that could be a toy for them, or that could be their school uniform, or just anything for them. And I think, you know, when you're a parent and you're a married guy, father of 3 kids, you end up sacrificing a lot of stuff that, you know, you may have got when you were single. Hopefully my kids will grow up, and when I've told them, look, when you grow up and you know, and hopefully you're successful individuals, you know, build your granddad an arcade machine. You know, get him a few arcade machines, you know, and let him play. And they're like, yeah, Dad, we're going to do that for you. Right, so let's go back to Cyclops. I might skip Wolverine, right, because we had a lot of credits with Wolverine. So in this game here, when you let's do it again. Look, when you press the credit button, you can top up your energy, and some of those games did that. Turtles done that as well. So some of the Konami games, especially, you could just keep pumping in money and just boost up your energy, right? And here we go. Let's see. Again, this feels really, really good. But I have to say, with a lot of the Konami games, and this is no exception, the hit detection isn't exactly badass, right? It's not Streets of Rage or Final Fight even. Right, let's have a look. Yo, how you doing? HD Demon Arcades, OG Frizzler here, all from UK. Yeah, I mean, you know what, Shane? It just really depends on what you want. Like, so what happened is, I used to have a game shop, and you know, at that time, retro was junk. So when I'm saying like I'm paying for Dreamcast games like Rival Schools 2, Cannon Spike, for Sega Saturns, for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I'm paying pounds, like £1, or I'm paying pennies for retro stuff because it was branded junk. And I kept lots and lots of that for myself, right? And so what actually ended up happening is I ended up trading it all in at one point. I was like, I'm not going to use this. And honestly, I probably sold like a few £100,000 worth of stuff, right? Some of the stuff that I had like sealed copies of Mario 64, Smash Brothers, because I bought a business that went bankrupt and it had loads of sealed stuff. So we sold them on eBay at the time for like a couple of £100 each, which was good money. But now, you know, when you see that they go for hundreds of thousands, it's insane. So, you know, I had all that stuff. And once I got rid of all that stuff, and, you know, I had emulation, or I had like flash carts for my Game Boys, and you know, since I got the MiSTer, I'm good, man. I'm not into collecting at all. The only thing I might do is if I go to like a UK games market, if I go to like a Sunday car boot sale and they have something like if they have something like some Game Boy cartridges there for cheap, I'll just buy them because I like the aesthetic of the Game Boy carts, right? I like sticking one in the back of my analog pocket, and that's as much as my collection kind of goes. I've got to give a big shout out to a subscriber to the channel as well, man. The guy's name is Jay, right? Really, really nice guy. He went to Japan he asked me if I wanted anything, and I was like, yeah, sure, I want a PC Engine controller and a Master System controller. And then I said, look, if you've got a SNES one, and the guy only charged me for 2 of them. He actually gifted me 2 of them, man. So that was really, really polite of the guy. So Jay, if you're watching this, buddy, a big shout out to you. You know who you are. And he doesn't want any credit. He doesn't like being in the limelight. Just a really, really nice guy. And I haven't got around to using those controllers yet because yeah, I had a job interview on Tuesday. It went really, really well, but I know a lot of people have applied for it, so I don't want to get my hopes up. But I really do hope I get this position. They're going to let me know if I've made it to the next interview by the end of the day tomorrow, right? So hopefully I'll find out. And if I get this new job, one of the things I'm looking forward to is just the amount of time it opens up, right? My mum's with me for a few months, you know, like I've said it many times, she's got dementia, so I can spend a few hours a day with her, which makes it a little bit easier for my wife as well. And then I can maybe, you know, dedicate a couple of hours to like YouTube as well. So maybe I can start putting out 1 video a day rather than just whenever I'm free. So yeah, kind of looking forward to seeing if I get that. You know, I wouldn't say I'm anxious, but I'm definitely eagerly awaiting an email tomorrow to see if I've made it through to the next stage. So let's have a look. Really hope I do, but if I shouldn't, but like, you know what, I should never tell people that I'm going for a job, right? Because what makes it difficult is like the last time I applied for a promotion at my work, I didn't get it. And you know, I told a few people about it. I was actually very confident and sure I was going to get it. So yeah, when I didn't get it, it's just a bit disheartening telling people that you didn't quite get it, right? So I should just remain quiet, but I end up getting excited and bantering it during a stream or telling a few of like my close friends. But if I don't get this one, the next thing I'm going to go for, I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm either going to get it and then announce it or not get it. I mean, it's not like I haven't got a job. I've got a good job that pays well, you know. I just don't want to do I kind of want to get out of doing shift work and I want to do less hours. So I'm kind of looking at kind of getting that done. So look, what's the time now? Okay, we've been going for half hour solid and we haven't completed it yet, so this is quite a long game to complete. So I imagine it will take quite a bit of coinage, right? Especially when you've got these guys which are like 3 of the first boss just flamethrowing you, man. And I walk a step forward and all these guys come in. Do you remember, guys, all these games, right, they were coin guzzlers, and when you got near the end, man, it just you couldn't do it. Like, it'll be interesting to see if someone out there can 1cc this, right? I'd really like to see that. Maybe later on today I'll go into YouTube and put an X-Men 1992 arcade 1cc, right? Because I rate anyone that can do it. You know, there's games out there like Shadow Dancer, Shinobi, yes, they're 1cc-able, right? But all these games, you see people do it. But when you've got all these enemies on the screen and you've got all this stuff here, you know, you need to have you properly need to understand movement, system, you know, any little glitch you can exploit to get past. I've got a friend of a friend's, and do you know, so it's weird when you play Street Fighter, right? And Danahan, you can kind of vouch for this, right? When you play Street Fighter, you end up making a lot of friends, right? And for example, let's say Danahan is my friend, right? And Danahan's got a friend called, like, I don't know, Bob, right? And I play Street Fighter with Bob once, like, so what ends up happening, you end up kind of becoming friends, right? But you always kind of meet through a friend. So I've got this friend, his name's Lebowski. That's his Street Fighter kind of, you know, forum name when we used to go to Shoryuken and Neo Empire. The Lebowski, not the big Lebowski, just Lebowski. Very good Alpha 3 player. So a friend of mine who I met him through, met up with him recently, and he's actually very, very good at Final Fight. He can pretty much go through the entire game without losing a life. So, and he was showing my friend how he plays it and how he gets through some of this stuff. So it was really, really interesting. I said to my friend, look, maybe I'll get Lebowski on the channel to maybe like over something like Fightcade or over Discord if he's playing his version of Final Fight, and it'll be interesting to watch him play and just kind of discuss, you know, what he's doing. Like, okay, if we stand in this spot and, you know, I do this or I move this direction, it confuses the CPU and the CPU starts doing this. And this is how I you know, stop myself from getting hit. So it's really, really interesting, because I remember in the arcade, like the guy with Down syndrome, that was wicked, that Pac-Man. Like like Pac-Man used to be waiting in a corner, not moving anywhere, just going into this corner, right? And the ghosts couldn't get him. And I asked him, and there was another guy watching him. He said no, when he's playing for hours, because the guy just never died in Pac-Man, he just kept going and going and going. In order to get himself a rest, he knew this glitch where he would just be in the corner. So it's really interesting finding a lot of the glitches. And you know, that's one thing I miss about the arcade, and you can't really get this anywhere else, right? This is an ad hoc experience, right? So I used to go to the arcades in between playing like whatever fighting game I was playing, whether it was Capcom versus SNK 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Hyper Fighting, Third Strike. I was mainly a Capcom guy when it came to fighters, right? Maybe a little bit of King of Fighters 98. And you'd go over and they'll be like the shmup guys, right? Don't get me wrong, the fighting guys, the fighting guys filled up the arcades, at least when I was there, right? You know, a whole bunch of you would go there on like a Friday or a Saturday, and you'd know there'd be challenges there for you, right? But then you go chill out a little bit, you go and speak to some of the other guys, or your friend would have a friend that was really into shmups. And it was really, really interesting. There was this guy he was a shmups guy, man. And he was just kind of explaining the movement. And, you know, when all these bullets are around, like you do these circular movements. And he goes, these are the movements that you do, right? You know, I'm doing it with Nightcrawler now, like little, you kind of circle around the bullets. And he was explaining how you can get through like millions of bullets, and how these games, I can't remember what shmup it was, how it was completable with just 1 credit. And I was like, wow, you know, I could get like level 2, maybe level 3 with 1 credit. Where's the best place to buy a Mio Mini Plus? Does it have... Okay, so the Mio Mini Plus, yes, it comes with games installed. You can buy it with a 64 gig micro SD card or 128. You can, best place to buy it, Shane, or anyone else that wants it, is buy it on AliExpress. That's where I got it from. I got it for under £40 delivered. I sent my friend the link earlier and it was £32. So by the time you add taxes and delivery to that, you know, you're kind of looking at maybe $45 stateside, £40 or less UK. And it does come with games installed. And I have to say, the vanilla experience out of the box isn't actually a bad experience. Like, I was like, okay, this is actually very, very decent. But Garlic OS is just fantastic, man. Every time you go out of a game, now you can configure options to your liking. But I do, okay, can you see the shadows seemed off a little bit there for a second? Right, so what you can do is, let's say, for example, obviously it's running RetroArch, it's running different emulators as well. If I'm playing, let's say I'm playing X-Men, right? And I leave X-Men right now, it will create a save state and it will take a screenshot, right? And then I'll play the next game. Let's say I'm playing Shadow Dancer, right? So I play Shadow Dancer and I think, oh, let me get out of Shadow Dancer. So I press the button to exit Shadow Dancer. Again, it will create a save state and it will take a screenshot, right? And then what I'll do is, when I'm out of it, I'll move it left. It'll go back to the last game and it will go back to X-Men, exactly the same screenshot. I'll press the button on X-Men, the A button, and bang, it will start the game exactly from where I left off, right? And it's not just the last 2 games you played. In fact, you can swap between the last 2 games by tapping the home or whatever button it is twice quickly. But if you press the home button once, you can go through like your entire history. I'm not sure how many are there. You can probably set it. By default, it might be like your last 100 games played. And it's really, really good, right? What I haven't bothered doing on there, I haven't bothered doing like the videos and the fancy front end, because I spent like 2 weeks doing that on my Ambernick, and then I ended up giving it away to my friend who I grew up with and I went arcades with. I was like, dude, check this out. It's got every arcade game you could ever imagine on there. So he really liked it. He was playing like Snow Brothers on there, Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. I mentioned him on the channel a lot. It's my friend Chris. He's moved to Serbia now, so he's always out there. But when he comes over like once a year, every couple of years, I make sure I meet up with him. So I was like, look, take this Ambernick. I obviously bought a newer one, but then I kind of missed that Game Boy shaped one, so I ended up buying the Mio Mini Plus, which I think is fantastic. Quite a long game, man. I mean, I feel kind of bad here. I'm kind of hitting these disabled enemy mutants, right? I mean, effectively, they're like henchmen in wheelchairs, right? With tanks. You're not going to give them a wheelchair. It's not going to be very, very effective. But I've got to say, you know, Magneto isn't discriminating against the disabled. He has actually employed them in half wheelchairs. You know, he's given them a chance to be the henchmen. But, you know, they're dead now, so they're gone. Hopefully, we will get some more representation. Okay. And, you know, we've got an obese person there as well. I don't know if obese is a registered disability. I'm not quite sure where that is, but maybe. But mind you, this guy is like sumo wrestler big, man. He's got the muscles. So, yeah, I'm not sure if he could be classed as disabled as those henchmen that were in those half-tank wheelchairs, man. So, you know, back then there wasn't, yeah. there wasn't, so a lot of games you'll find stuff that would not be permitted today. In fact, I was watching The Office, and I remember some of the cast from The Office actually tweeting that if The Office was released today, in this day and age, it wouldn't be, I'm going to give Cyclops another couple of credits, it wouldn't actually be, you wouldn't be able to get away with it today, like a lot of stuff in there. Now, when you do watch it, even though I do find it funny, some of the stuff is, pretty politically incorrect, and some of the stuff's even racist in there. But it's still my favourite show, man. I absolutely love The Office. The US version, by the way. The UK version's all right. It's good. But the US version just took it to the next level. So I feel like we've approached the end of the game now, right? Because that's what usually happens, right? It's like you get to the last level and you're going to fight all the bosses all at once, right? They're all going to start coming out at you. This is where they're proper trying to get your money now, right? We're getting like mega buckets on you. Let's get this. Well, do you know, I just realised, I don't even know why I realised, right? But where obviously my wife has been out, you know, she's been away since last Thursday, right? So exactly a week, and she's coming back Monday with the kids. Haven't had any home cooked meals. I'm not really a cooker, you know. I've had like microwave pizza, a tuna sandwich. I've had cereal. Cereal is what I had for breakfast today. 2 bowls, in fact, of fruit and fibre. So, you know, fiber is good for you. Well, you know, or producing fiber is good for you. So I love that. I'm just wondering what to get when I go on night shift, right? You know, I'm on mega takeaway menu. I actually had pizza yesterday at home, a microwave one, and then I had one from a restaurant in the evening because it was a freebie, so I couldn't say no. So I'm kind of looking forward to my wife coming back, man. My wife spoils me, right? When I'm on night shift and then I wake up in the afternoon, you know, I'll call her and straight away she knows to get that coffee going for me. So the coffee will get ready and then I'll go down and then she'll ask me, you know, what do I want to eat? I'm blessed. I've got, you see some graphical glitches that kind of disappeared there for a second. I'm kind of blessed with a good wife, man. So she'll ask me, you know, what do I want to eat? So sometimes if anyone's out there used to doing night shifts, right, we're taking on Magneto now. And yeah, look, we're gonna rescue a guy in a wheelchair, man. So as much as you know, Magneto hired disabled henchmen, he's also kidnapped a disabled guy. So I don't know if that balances things out, right? You kidnap a guy in a wheelchair, but then you give 5 guys in a wheelchair a job as henchmen, right? So I don't know, is there some kind of good there? Let's go Wolverine again, right? He's definitely the most fun. So yeah, going back to that, so my wife would be so cool. She'd be like, look, I've made the kids this, but where I'm on night shift, sometimes I don't want like you know, I don't want to eat like lasagna, or I don't want to eat after getting up or whatever. So, you know, she'll be like, what do you want? And she'll make something especially for me. But usually I want something simple like peanut butter and toast with the coffee or whatever. But she's a good lady, man. She's a good lady. I'm happy to have her. Plus, you know, she lets me, if I want to live stream or do whatever, sometimes I'm making videos and she's sleeping in the room. And those are the videos where I'm like, hey guys, I really wanted to do this video. My wife's sleeping. I always make jokes like, if I wake her, I'm dead. If you don't see me tomorrow, she got me. Blame it on the wife and everything there. And you know what? She puts up with all of that stuff, you know. I definitely annoy her sometimes and I can see it. But you know what? I'll always make it up. 2 holidays this year she's had. So, you know, with the kids. I've had a separate holiday myself, but my holiday was a kind of family mission and a holiday in one. So, oh, okay. Oh, well, hold on. Wait, what happened there? Mystique. Wow. Where's the real Magneto? Yeah, he's coming out. Yeah, so so I'll make sure I make it up to you. Yo, Chris is Retro Gaming in the house. How you doing, man? Thank you, HD Arcades. There's nothing wrong with some. You know what? I love it, man. I had it. I'm all good. Right now, I'm gonna fight the real Magneto. Sold my analog pocket. Needed the cash. Okay. To be honest, you know. Oh, hold on. Is Magneto's head looking? I don't know. Don't know if I'm seeing something off here or not. Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, it's good. Look, the analog pocket will always have its space for me, right? It looks like a Game Boy. It takes that car at the back. Like I like the Game Boy kind of aesthetic that it has, right? I like it. I like that the few cartridges that I have. If I want to play my DMG Tetris, I can just whack it in there and play it. So it will always be special. But I feel when the MiSTer handheld comes, now Taki said he wants it to have 4 hours battery minimum for hard pushing systems like the N64 and the Sega Saturn, right? So by that kind of logic, there's no formula here now, right? But I'm just going to say that by that kind of logic, right, we should be able to get what, at least double, right, on something like the SNES, right, maybe more on something, you know, like the 8-bit systems, right? So that's going to be amazing. Massive battery, a whole heap of systems. It's going to have HDMI out. I mean, it's going to be amazing. You know, I really hope Taki delivers on all that stuff. Don't forget, look, one thing that I've learned in FPGA gaming is delays. Whatever project is coming out, it's gonna get delayed, right? Whether we look at Mars, whether we look at Replay 2, whether we look at MiSTer 2, which hasn't been announced or anything, but there's been rumors floating about that for a long time. You know, Super Sega, which, okay, Super Sega isn't delayed, but there's a lot of alarm bells there. Let's see how that goes, right? And with the Taki Udon stuff as well. So delays almost seems like when people give dates, they give, you know, what the expected best case scenario is, right? But something always happens and goes wrong. But I got to respect Taki for the fact that he's very transparent with his processes. He's very approachable. Like, so obviously I'll speak to him via open channels on Discord, but I'll speak to him via a DM as well. Yeah, the guy seems legit. I've got no reason to believe that, you know, there's anything dodgy there. I genuinely think the guy's on it to make it. Now, you know, it's going to be a company that he's going to be involved in. Let's just say, for example, like he does the MiSTer project, right? And he makes his MiSTers and he's not making a massive markup on there, right? He's making something on there, right? But if for example, he comes and smashes it with a whole bunch of MiSTer units and he makes MiSTer more mainstream because of the price points, and through his YouTube channel and other channels picking it up, a lot more people find out about it. MiSTer becomes a bigger name. His company gets a reputation for making great systems, right? He can always make more systems in the future, new FPGA systems. He actually even said that if developers are interested, he's happy to spearhead like a MiSTer 2 project. So again, interesting stuff out there. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to a handheld MiSTer, and hopefully I can get like a first edition of that. I should be getting a first edition of like the Taki consoles when they're available. So, you know, Taki's kind of agreed to it. So I'll get one so I can show it to you guys on the channel. I'll do some side by sides. I'll do live streams because I do really like doing the live streams. So interesting. You know, this stuff was really cool to see when you're a kid, but it's very rare you'll see an ending to a beat 'em up, right? Maybe something like Final Fight. But a beat 'em up, because there was such coin guzzlers, unless someone was in there with like we're talking someone that's going to put like 100 credits in there, right? So someone's going with 50 to 100 pounds in there to actually, you know, complete this game. It's very rare that you saw it. But a lot of games like, for example, Strider, Shinobi, you'd see the ending for. Golden Axe even, you'd see the ending for. So there was a lot of stuff out there where you could. What's Murchie saying? Murchie is saying, yeah, the MiSTer stuff is getting more mainstream, lots more easy apps and no command line. Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. It's very darn good. Let's give this a reset because it seems to have started my credits again. Yeah, the MiSTer's amazing, man. And I want more people to come to it because, you know, with that, I hope my channel grows, and I hope with that, obviously YouTube can start, you know, bringing me some income that can subsidize my day job, right? It's never going to replace the day job. Keep things in kind of perspective, right? But it'll be nice if it grows, and with that, my channel grows, as well as like channels like Video Game Esoterica, Luz Retro Source, Nico Clem, people that cover like FPGA gaming and MiSTer news. But yeah, what's that? Matthew, yo, hey Pixel, you earned my sub. I love. Oh, wicked, man. Oh, thank you for the sub, man. Much appreciated. Thank you. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the X-Men. But talking about this, guys, this feels really good. Now, you know, just want to clarify, I'm not speaking for Hatego, and I never speak for him unless Hatego tells me something specific and says I'm good with you for sharing this, right? So the state this core is in, if Hatego's had more time to work on it, the third button, obviously, I imagine that's something that's relatively easy to implement for the special attack. Now, that in there, the enemy sounds, I would not be surprised if we get a beta release tomorrow or next week. But again, this is just speculation, right? Have no idea. You know, if you want to get, if you do want to get early access to betas, consider supporting Hatego over on Patreon. You know, whether you've got an analog pocket, a MiSTer, or a CD128, if you've got like an analog pocket and a MiSTer, it really is great value, man. I can't recommend it enough. And this isn't from me earning any commissions or anything on there. I just push it because it's one of the developers I support on Patreon. And when I first supported Hatego, it was just to get access to all the beta arcade cores. You know, he's done a whole bunch of games that I like. Bad Dudes vs Dragon Ninja, the New Zealand Story, RoboCop, Parodius, you know, Sunset Riders. Okay, I played that on the SNES, but I do like the arcade version. So the guy's got a whole bunch of games out there that you guys there's a whole bunch of games out there that I played growing up, and that's why I'm such a fanboy, man. And I'll never hide it. I'll openly say it. I'm a fanboy, man. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up now, man. I kind of wanted to complete it. If you did spot any graphical stuff, leave it in the comments to the video and everything. And if there's anything there that you definitely know is different from the PCB, and it's not something that's, you know, mentioned as a GitHub issue or Hatego's unaware of, mention it in there, because it's always support from the community and feedback from the community that helps stuff like this get better, right? There's always, it's an ever-going thing. I've seen Hatego go back to cores he completed a couple of years ago because some new information has come to light that will make it more accurate. So it's amazing. I like it so far anyway. I enjoyed what I played, man. I just kind of wish my kids were around so I could have played it like 3 or 4 players with them. But hey, you know, maybe when the beta's out, I'll do a live stream with them. They enjoyed doing it with me. The only thing that they let me down is I'll tell them, don't use your real names, but they're kids, so they obviously start bringing their real names in there. I'll give them code names, but they always just branch off from that. But you know what, guys? Really, thank you. Really do appreciate you guys dropping by. Massive shout to everyone that dropped in. Really do appreciate you guys watching, subscribing, all the rest of it. Could not do this channel without your support. Big shout out to Danahan, people like Chris's Retro Gaming that actually helped me in the background with setting stuff up, as well as, like, you know, doing custom MRAs and stuff. So really do appreciate your work. People like Big Al. Sorry if I'm not naming you personally. There's a lot of good people out there, guys. So that's it, man. Hopefully X-Men soon. It's pretty amazing already. So yeah, guys, be absolutely awesome to one another. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.